So hello and welcome back to the Gorilla Biker, and today what we're going to be doing is rebuilding the second front brake caliper for the SV650. This is what it looks like right now. I've already cleaned it and I'll go through kind of as we put it back together what you need to disassemble and clean before anyone gets super excited about the vest. I had a vest on in a couple of recent shorts and I've had a lot of messages about it, and I know I have tan lines. I lived in Ireland for most of my life, and the only part of me that saw sun was here, so it is what it is. Sorry to offend you with my skin tone, which is a pretty weird complaint to have about literally anyone. So yeah, what we're going to be using is a brake rebuild kit from Brake Crafters. They had everything kind of online, easy to do. There, we're also going to be using these guys. These are EBC EPFA 229HH. I'll try focus on it there, just if you want to copy them. So the brake caliper rebuild kit I bought from Brake Crafters direct, and the brake pads I bought from STG or sportbiketrackgear.com. If you type in STG on Google, you'll find it. And so far, everything I've ordered off them has arrived like super fast, and everything's been correct. So, and it's run by an actual human. So, big thumbs up for them. They don't know who I am. They don't know I exist, which kind of makes it even better. You know, I like recommending good company. So, here's one that I have already completed. This is just one side, and this kit also does include. We're going to be changing out the brake bleeder bolt and everything as well. So it is really a kind of a complete rebuild, which is, you know, how I like to do these when I do them. You know, you do want to replace everything because it is the best way to do it if you're going as deep as we have here. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. And yes, this is hot coffee, which also confuses people over here. So, first and foremost, this is a brake caliper. If you've never seen one before, this is what one looks like. So essentially there's little channels, which you might not be able to see inside the bores there. And basically you get brake fluid pushed under hydraulic pressure through your brake line, through your brake lever, through your brake master cylinder. And what that does is it's an incompressible fluid, so it only has one place to go, and what that does is it pushes out your pistons. So here are the old ones as an example, and basically that pushes your piston out, and as your piston pushes out, it's a tongue twister, it will move the brake caliper basically the brake pad against the other brake pad, which is just kind of held in place by this, and pinch your brake disc, and that is how you actually slow down a bike. This here is just a little pad retention spring. This one's kind of worn out, so I didn't clean it much. I'm probably going to see can I get new ones. And then we also have our brake pad carrier here, which I'll explain rebuilding that as we go through it as well. But that is essentially everything. And to get these pistons out, the easiest thing to do is to actually remove the calipers from the bike and just use your brake lever to push them out as far as you can. What I like to do is leave one brake pad in on either side and push them out as far as I can go. And then with these ones, I was actually able to just get my hand in there and wiggle them out the rest of the way. Because if, for instance, they were left in there for the best part of, well, actually, yeah, over 2 decades, like these ones were, you can see that you end up with like corrosion rings and all this dirt up here on the top. So these ones might still clean up. I will clean them up and try, and you can see how bad that brake fluid was. It had actually turned to like a solid in the calipers, which was obviously contributing to these brakes not feeling very good and just not working very good. So, you know, the intent of this whole project was not only to clean these out, but also mean that, you know, if we were to just replace the fluid or whatever else, it's obviously going to feel a lot better. So the only things I really worried about cleaning, like the caliper itself, I have cleaned up a little bit, but if you see here, I've really cleaned this whole surface here really well. Because obviously pads sit against it. I've cleaned the boards really well because obviously we've new pistons going in, and I've cleaned up, you know, the outside edge as well. Basically anything that pads are going to be sitting on, touching, or traveling on, I've cleaned up to the best of my ability so that we don't get like the pad sticking essentially in place, because you don't want that. And to that end, you know, I've also cleaned up this pin. This is a brake pad retention pin. And then we've also cleaned up here. So what this does is the pad is going to sit on there, okay? And then these two here are going to actually sit in grease and move with the brake pistons. So to that end, something that you do want to have on hand, now brake crafters do send you a little bit with the kits, but I actually do always kind of have a good tub of red rubber grease. You buy one and it pretty much lasts forever. I think my tub that I have in Ireland is still mostly full. So yeah, what we're going to do now is open up I just shoved my arm into the brake grease for some reason. We're going to open this up, the kit. And the kit number, I'll focus on it here so you can see it. All right, this is a stainless steel piston, or as you see written there, a lifetime piston. I don't think anything is, like, it depends on what the lifetime is. I don't think anything's lifetime, especially if it's mistreated. But there's one new piston and two new pistons. And just to give you a quick comparison, you know, that's kind of what you're looking at. I know it's not focused, but it's not. I mean, it's not pretty. So the old pistons really were quite gone. Like I said, they might clean up, and then these guys actually sit onto these pieces here. We'll go through that in a minute because we will have to grease them up. One is a push through and one is just a guy. And then these are our seals. So we're going to have two dust seals, which are the thinner ones, and two bigger, I call them oil seals because it is hydraulic oil technically. Brake fluid rings, and we're going to put those on as well. Very straightforward. And then we also do have two new copper crush washers if you're going to reuse your original caliper bolt, which obviously we're not. We do have a new bleeder as well, so we'll be doing all of that. And like I said, they do send you a little baby pot of red rubber grease, but we're not going to use that because I have the bigger tub and it's just kind of easier to get what I need out of. So first and foremost, we're going to pop in these new fluid rings. Now, take everything I do with a grain of salt. I'm not a mechanic. This is just how I have always done it, and I've never had problems. So red rubber grease is actually designed for brake systems. So what I do is I'm going to put a thin coating, like a really thin coating, all the way around the outside of the ring where it's going to seat, and then also the inside of the ring, just to kind of help it in there. And then we will recoat it as well later when we're actually pushing in the piston rings because you don't want them to pinch. So this one here is going into, let's see, can I get this to focus really hard? There's a lower groove. The upper groove is for the dust seal. So for the lower groove, you want to get this in with one finger and then just push it down. The nice thing about these fluid seals is they do kind of just snap into place, and then wipe your hand around, and that's it in place. Really, really easy. So we're going to repeat that with the other side. There's the second one in. Now we're going to do the dust seals. And I just, whatever's left on my fingers, I wipe on the dust seals. I don't put too much on there. Because the thing about having too much of any grease, it can tend to obviously catch and hold dirt. So the dust seals, like you can see, hopefully you can see there, they sit in there a lot more loosely, and they literally just have a little groove in them. That groove is to try catch and wipe away dirt, which is why it's important to kind of clean your calipers pretty regularly, or when you change brake pads at minimum, just so you don't get a build-up of stuff. You know, you don't need to replace your pistons when you build your brakes. You can actually just push out your brake pistons and kind of redo it that way. So now what I'm going to do is just get a little smidge more. I'm going to wipe that around the outside of both of our seals, like just a little baby amount. And the one thing is, like, generally with grease, you can't use too much. With this, you just don't want globs in there and you're good. Then to do our brake pistons, all we're going to do is just gently move it in there, get it straight, and just push it with our thumb into about there. Same with the other side. This is genuinely so easy to rebuild these old style brake calipers. I've never rebuilt like brand new fancy modern ones. You see, that one wasn't going in straight, so you just want to straighten it up. And then you feel usually more resistance going past the oil seal, but like it shouldn't be a lot. So if there's a lot, you might be pinching something, which you do not want to do, because then you have to get a new one. So I'm going to actually work this one back out for a second, because that one was just catching a little bit more than I like. So I'm going to put a little bit more grease on to the seal. just to help the piston pass. There you go, much easier. So I probably just didn't have enough grease on there. And that's pretty much it. I mean, that is the bulk of the brake caliper rebuilt. It's just putting in those pistons. So now what we're going to do is basically grease up these two pins here, and then we're going to, well, first and foremost, what you can do is this guy here, you can actually grease up all the outside of this boot because we're about to shove it through somewhere. This screwdriver is way too long, but it's just beside me. So then what you want to do is, one of these is an open end, as you can see here. So you just want to push that through. And if you have that nicely greased up, that is literally how it will go through. If you don't want to be forcing that in there. And then with this one, you want to just kind of get it on. So actually, yeah, hold on, let me try to show you. So there's a little retention groove right there. And that's what you're going onto with this. You just kind of want to work it on. And there you go, right, that's it done. And now what we're going to do is, so this here is basically going to live in here like this, right? That's where those actually go. But you want these really greasy. So what I do, just plenty of grease on here because we can clean this up afterwards. You want to kind of cover the whole thing. And like I said, I wouldn't worry about like too much in this case. You just want to grease it up. Because the greasier these are, the easier it'll move. And by the way, this one was completely frozen before we rebuilt it, and I'll show you the difference in a second. And this just pushes in there, and then you can see, you want to make sure that boot basically goes onto the retention ring on this side as well. And so how that should work is like this. See how easy that is to move? So this was completely frozen when I actually went to rebuild this in the first place. So now what we want to do is put, well, first actually what we'll do is we'll put in our new bleeder. But this bleeder, just a size 8. It is easier if you loosen these while they're on the bike, which I didn't do. So this one was a little bit aggro there to get out. As you can see, all that old corrosion. And then what we're going to do, and I did already clean out all these holes with brake cleaner. So what you want to do is, imagine how this is going to close, okay? So you want to basically push that on that way so this can fold over, like so. That doesn't need to be over tight for now because obviously we're going to be bleeding these brakes later. There's a child with a little electric motorcycle looking into the shed garage. And that's the brake rebuilt far enough for the pistons. So I'm just going to clean my area here real quick. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put this pin here. One of the brake pads sits onto this, so the outside brake pad. And how that works is it's going to basically go, oh, there probably is a left and a right. Yeah, I think I actually have the wrong pads, and I'll explain why. So, and we can show you what you need to do here, but if you look on this one, this inner pad sits with that little pin sticking up, all right? And then this outer pad kind of retains it in there because it's obviously on this piece here, plus the retention pin. So what's gonna happen is, if the only way I can fit this on is basically the wrong way around, which it is the wrong way around. Yeah, it doesn't actually even fit in. So yeah, this isn't going to work. So there is obviously a left and a right double H pad. I didn't see that listed on there. It makes sense, but I didn't see it listed on there. So unfortunately, that is where we're going to have to end. But as I was saying, the only things left to do were I was going to put a little bit of grease onto this pin here to stop this catching. And then obviously we'd put our retention pin back through, which is this one right here. And then there's a little hole there, and that hole is for a little retention clip, basically, that you push through. And that's it. So I mean, the bulk of it is get your pistons back in, and obviously I didn't show you all the cleaning and stuff, but it's the reverse. So you just take all this out, and to remove this, you literally just pull it. Now I don't want to pull it because I've reseated it, but you literally catch it and pull it all the way out, and it will pop from its grooves. And then with this boot, you can either push it back through or just cut it if you want, if you have fresh ones. And yeah, these guys, I'll probably keep them because I don't mind. I'll store them. wrapped them back up in plastic. I'll need them at some point, and I'll just have to get the other side. So I'll mock these up against the bike and see which one is which. I'm guessing that's probably left-hand side would make sense. So I need the right-hand side brake pads. So we'll order those up. And you know, not STG's fault particularly. I didn't see it listed as left and right, but I probably should have figured that one out myself. And just, let's have a look here. So yeah, you can see, right, these are the stock ones. You can actually see that they are opposite. So that's a watch out. If you're doing this job yourself on an SV650, you do need to get left and right biased brake pads for when you're rebuilding your calipers. But that's it. It's actually pretty straightforward. I would highly recommend doing this because when you do it and you bleed everything, it's going to feel fantastic. So a video coming soon on rebuilding the rear master cylinder. I think I have a rebuild kit for the front master cylinder. We'll do that too. And then we also have new brake lines. So fitting and bleeding those coming up soon. So I don't know, does the sweat come across on camera, but I'm looking forward to finishing this video and putting the fan back on high. It's hot in here. It's hot in here. It's North Carolina in August, which isn't quite as bad as it was in July, but it's still hot. So yeah, if you've watched, thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed seeing you know, this caliper going back together, I have lots of videos like it. I have more in-depth ones for a Gixxer 750, which is very similar, except you have a split caliper. It's a 6-piston. I also have a rebuild video on the Honda Valkyrie calipers, and I'll be doing the CBF Nighthawk caliper soon. We actually have a fuel leak on that, so I need to figure that one out. So yeah, like I said, if you watched, thank you very much for watching. If you're new here, please do consider hitting the subscribe button. If you liked the video, hit the like button. It helps, you know, makes YouTube see more. And since I've started asking recently, it has actually worked. My videos are getting shown to a lot more people. So yeah, do hit that like button if you've enjoyed the video. And yeah, until next time, hopefully this was helpful to someone. If it was, please let me know. Bit of a bummer that I need to go find the right-hand side brake pads. I'll probably just order them from STG as well. Not a big deal. Like I said, it's no harm having spares for the left-hand side, but it would have been nice to just have it all done and dusted. I am still waiting on fresh stanchion, as I do with a bent stanchion, so not the end of the world. And yeah, if you watched this far, mucho apreciado. As always, a very special thank you to all of my patrons. I do appreciate your support quite a lot. And yeah, until next time, thank you again. Adios. Outro crew. What's the thing that you've come across? Like right and left brake pads. It's kind of silly goosisms. I wonder why they did it like that. I wonder why. I mean, it makes sense that now that it's happened to me, I'm like, oh yeah, I should have probably spotted that earlier. But it's also kind of like, come on, I would have been finished that job. But yeah, not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. Bye, outro crew.